Okay. So this is crazy. It gets now. We need a crazy drum roll now. It gets completely crazy now. Okay. Whoa, we are happening now. We are happening now. And Rob, don't feel bad, Rob, that while you're going to the bathroom, you missed the most important piece. Don't feel bad about that. It's okay. It's okay. All right, here we go. Okay, so what's our problem here? What's our problem? All right, so we got a problem. We got a very, very big problem that we need to solve. And I'm going to try and do it in kind of very, very short order, but it's a huge problem. And the solution to it is so fucking gorgeous that it just blows your mind. It's really subtle. It's fine wine. Okay? So again, I get it if you're into cheap beer. So I don't want to feel bad about it. So all the cheap beer people, just go to sleep now. We're going for like super high class, refined, grapes, 1831, Provence, right? Right, so that's what we're doing. But again, I totally get if that, oh no, okay, we'll do it. Okay, here we go. Okay, ready? So here we go. So here's the problem. And Howard basically makes this argument in his book, The Lucifer Principle, before we met. He makes an argument, a very powerful argument to destroy value. And actually, Harari cites Bloom as one of his sources. This is before Howard and I met. And Howard kind of expresses the classical argument against value. And I've referred to it earlier in the week, but I want to just kind of, with permission, say it again now a little more slowly, which is, he says, so you say, now let's take this really slow. You say not me, you say, right, the great religions say, right, those people say, they say value's real. The great traditions say value's real. Okay. So value's real, that means that it's eternal, because real is the realm of being. It's eternal, it's unchanging. And everybody fucking knows that value is not eternal and unchanging. So Mutzi sent me a book, this is true, I'm not making this up, he can confirm it, called The Global Revolt, 2 years ago, right? He told me about a book, so I got that book, right? And that writer's a classical, uncontaminated material. It's a classical writer, right? And he says, basically, we desperately need liberal values. The liberal world order is really important. He's a great reporter. He's a great storyteller also. He says, but basically, and here's his quote, but everybody knows, he just says that everybody knows, it's a given, that there are no preordained eternal values. They're just ridiculous. We all know that's not true, right? And then the last chapter of his book is called The New Story, and his new story is about basically what I would call infrastructure moves. What can you change in the infrastructure to make it better? But his assumption is, and he's a beautiful young man, a colleague of my daughter's actually, right, in Israel, right? He basically says, you can't talk about intrinsic value. It's just a given that that's not true. That's where Obama's coming from. It's just a given that's not true. Why? And so there's Howard's argument in his book, The Lucifer Principle, but Howard's representative of, 50 other books, 100 other books you could quote. Howard basically says, hey, and again, we've alluded to this already earlier in the week. So if it's familiar, fantastic, okay? Right? He says, well, you say love is eternal and love is a value. Let's take Eros, which we're making our major value. Okay, fantastic. So what did love mean 2,000 years ago? So 2,000 years ago, right, just a simple example, right, if I was a Chinese patriarch, right, an example I give often, right, and my wife disobeyed me, right, she deserves maybe to have her hands chopped off. But I am a loving husband. So I just beat her. Because I'm a great lover. When someone does that today, we arrest them and appropriately send them to prison. As we should. Because that's not the way you love. But that's what they said love was. And they're both using the word love. So love is obviously a ridiculous word. It doesn't really mean anything. You're just calling it love. But actually there's no